Why is every language learning app so bad? Over the last couple of years, I think I've tested like every language learning app and none of them were good. The best language learning app I've tested was Duolingo, but before its enshittification, ever since they closed the forums, removed the tree, and so on, everything just became worse and worse until I decided to delete it over a year ago. But even besides Duolingo, almost every language learning app I've tried has the exact same problem. It's just not challenging enough. Do you know these Duolingo questions where they only give you one answer? Yeah, that's what most of them feel like. No matter if it's Duolingo, Busuu, or Fluyo, they all usually give you a limited number of options instead of just making you type it yourself, making the answer really obvious. Therefore, solving an exercise just doesn't feel rewarding enough in order to be fun. Sometimes they also have these exercises where you need to search for a letter on your screen in order to type it. Terrible. I don't want to search for letters, just let me type the word on a regular keyboard. Duolingo used to have the option to type in everything yourself, which is what I used to do before they abolished that feature for some reason. And now I know what some of you are thinking. Anki exists. Yeah, Anki is great. Don't get me wrong, especially because it's open source and you can add new vocab and stuff, but I just find it so demotivating. You know, sometimes I feel like, oh yeah, maybe I should learn some French. So I open up Anki and Anki is like, oh hey, haven't seen you in a while. You actually need to learn 93 French words today. And then I sigh, close Anki and never reopen it again for the next 3 months. And of course I could reduce the number of words, but that wouldn't solve the underlying issue I have with it. It gives you a huge task you need to solve and doesn't adapt to your current mood. You should be able to study how much you currently feel like, not a given number of words. That just makes it feel like a chore. And learning languages is supposed to be fun, right? And I'm sure it could be. There's actually one website that I think does it exactly right, and that is Jetpunk. You know, I have the flavor of autism that makes me want to memorize all 212 municipalities of Slovenia, and Jetpunk is perfect for that. If you want to learn all oblasts of Ukraine, for example, at first you might only know like 4, but then you see the results and feel motivated to learn a couple more. After your next result, you might know 5 or 10 or all the oblasts in the east, and eventually all of them. But the quiz has a timer, so maybe you want to beat your high score and solve it faster. Now, Jetpunk isn't a site for language learning, but I think a language learning app needs to take some inspiration from it. The main difference is that compared to Anki, Jetpunk quizzes count up. They tell you how many things you guessed, not how many you have left to study. And I'm sure that a language learning app like this is possible. I remember that in order to study chemistry in school, I made my own vocabulary trainer in Scratch. It's pretty simple. You got a random question, you need to type in the answer. If it's correct, you earn 1 point. If it isn't, you lose 1 point. That's basically it. If it was possible for me to program it in Scratch, then I'm sure it's also possible for someone to make a more professional looking, similarly motivating language learning website, right? But of course, all of that is very subjective. Maybe you've had a completely different experience or know of an app I haven't tested yet. If so, please tell me in the comments. I would love to know. But until then, I'll probably stay the bilingual European I am today.